Hi there, it's me, Annalisa Boyd, Orthodox Christian wife, mom to 8, bread baker, candy maker, self-proclaimed doula, accidental midwife, and the author of the Ascetic Lives of Mothers, Hear Me, and Special Agents of Christ, all through Ancient Faith Publishing. Now today, you may notice that I will be wearing the same clothes in a couple of videos because I had a limited amount of time that I had to run out to the car. I had to pick the exact right time when it wasn't too hot, so I wouldn't be like pouring and my phone wouldn't shut off while I was recording and little things like that. So I'm using my time wisely. And if you've seen my other video, you'll understand what I'm referring to. Anyway, totally getting off subject. What is the subject? The subject today is summer. Summer's here, summertime. And the living's not easy. If you have children, let me just tell you, I wanted to address the kids being home. If you homeschool, you're used to the kids being home, and you may homeschool year round. I always thought I would do that, and I just never did. Things always came up. Or if you had kids in school, it is time for everything, just everything. The household machine kind of shifts gear, and we are doing other things. And I saw a lot of women post on their Facebook page and just in discussion and all that about how, kids were so excited about the last day of school and summer and all of that. And then within the first week, they're complaining, I'm bored, there's nothing to do. And I'm like, mamas, you got a whole week? I got hours, maybe hours. It may have been minutes. I'm not sure. From the moment the last child who was getting out of school was done with school, we get home. It may have been by the time we got home. There's nothing to do. I wish school was happening. This is boring. You've driven in the car. Nothing else has happened. So of course it's boring. And I was getting kind of frustrated because I'm like, why? There are all these things that we have provided for your enjoyment, education, and fun, and there's nothing to do. Why did we get all this stuff? So, I mean, we have a slack line and a zip line and some random things for the kids to practice parkour in the backyard. It's all the rage, parkour. And so and then we have board games up the wazoo. And then if you don't feel like playing with another person, we have a lot of solitaire type games. I mean, we have solitaire chess. We have puzzles and all sorts of things for kids to be able to do. We have mats so they can do flips and who knows. But no, there's nothing to do. Kind of like there's nothing in the refrigerator right after you go shopping. Anyway, so I was getting frustrated because when I was a kid, we would go all over the neighborhood and we would have to be home by the time the light went on at night. Or if we heard Dad's whistle, we would be home very quickly if we heard Dad's whistle. But everybody in the neighborhood, there were eyes and ears everywhere. And if you did something wrong, you knew that your parents were going to know about it by the time you got home because there was another parent watching. And it was kind of a neat experience. And even if I couldn't go somewhere, I was a latchkey kid because my mom was a single mom and had to go work. But even if I had to be home and couldn't be roaming in the neighborhood, I still made my own fun. It was out of necessity. And so I was frustrated. And then I realized, my kids weren't raised in that time. And it's not a given that they're just going to know that. They are being raised in a very consumer-focused culture. And so everything is teaching them that they are consumers. Even for church, the things that they are providing in a lot of churches are being provided with a mindset that you are the consumer. So we want to make it comfortable for you. There are some churches that make popcorn. So because the smell makes people happy. you can grab your mocha and go on in and just, relax and thank you, Jesus. But everything is about being the consumer. They haven't learned how to just be kids, how to have to be creative and come up with things to entertain themselves without killing themselves. And even the things that they're interested in, when I was a kid and generations before me, if you wanted to learn how to play baseball, you'd get some kids together from the neighborhood if you could, or you'd go looking for a game somewhere and try to be added in, or soccer or football or any of those things that, everything now is a class. If you were interested in art, you would just start practicing. You might get books from the library and things like that. But now there's a class for everything. Instead of it being spontaneous or organic, like I used to like to say, instead of it being this more organic thing, everything is prepackaged. And not that that's bad. Not that that's bad. Classes are good. I'm not saying that's bad. But if you get what I'm saying, our kids don't necessarily know the beauty of playing Hot Lava Monster for hours. We could play for hours. My brother and I would actually bring out our blanket from our room and set it up like it was a little island, and we'd bring certain special things out and place it around. So they were like our little floating apartments. I'm sure my mom loved when we played Hot Lava Monster because we would just be entertained for a very long time. But we did things like that. Most people my age, they know what it means if you say hot lava or Hot Lava Monster. But our kids haven't necessarily had that experience. And so we can help provide that experience without becoming, I think it was Julie, was it Julie or Vicky? I always forget, from the Love Boat, who is the activities director. That is not my job. My job is to be mom. I have some of my kids who think that is my job, and they're sadly mistaken, and I love them anyway because they're so cute. But no, my job is to teach them about Jesus. My job is to make sure that they eat good food and are clothed and fed and that we can spend good time together. My job is not to be the activities director. That being said, it is my job to teach them things and to help them kind of dig deep in themselves and learn how to manage themselves. And so what we do is we come up with a list for the week just so we have an idea of what the plans are. And they might change. But for example, we have Park Day on Monday, and we have a day of the week that we plan to go swimming. And sometimes things get switched around or whatever. But most of the things we have planned are things that are not going to cost any money or things that are not going to cost very much money because I just don't got that for, even $5 for 9 kids. That's a lot to try to cover all the time. But then I have a list of 20 different things that you can do if you're feeling bored, and then come up with your own. But it helps to let me off the hook that no, I don't have to, it's not my job to entertain you all the time. And you can find your own fun things to do. But we also have a plan. It is summer. It is a different time. And so we can do some fun things. We can, we don't live really in a neighborhood, so they can't go riding their bikes around the neighborhood and stuff like other kids can. But we can go to the park, or we can go hiking, or we got memberships to the museums in Denver. And so maybe once or twice a month, we're going to go do a field trip, something like that. So there are things that we can do. It is not our job to be the activity director. It is our job to train them and encourage them. And this also is part of encouraging them in the faith, because they are learning to be content. Now, one of the biggest ways to help them learn how to be content, because none of us are in the present long enough to be content. And I see that with myself, but I definitely see that with my kids. When we're doing something, sometimes while we are doing something fun, they're already wondering, What are we going to do next? Instead of being in the moment and enjoying what's happened. And what I'm noticing is they're not absorbing the experience. So what I'm starting to do is before we even get home from whatever we're doing, or before we move on to the next activity, or before they're released to do whatever they're going to go do on their own, I'm asking, what was the best part of whatever we just did? And this is something that's important for us. Don't get mad if they don't know, because this is going to take some time for them to start paying a little bit of attention, because they know there's going to be a test at the end. So don't get mad if they don't know how to answer. They may not have been present. So if they can't come up with something, it is perfectly fine for us to say, my favorite part was, I really like this. You seem to be really enjoying this part. What did you think? And helping them, almost kind of scripting the discussion, leading the discussion, maybe not scripting, leading the discussion, and helping them to learn how to reflect and think, oh, that did happen. And oh, yeah, that was funny when that happened. That was pretty cool. Oh, boy, I'm telling you, everything I'm saying right now, I have to go and apply, because sometimes it's really hard when you have cranky children not to be cranky back. But we're the grown-ups, and this is part of what we do. We're teaching them. And in the process, any good teacher is also a student. So any good teacher is also learning. So as a parent, we're teaching, but we're also learning. And God help us. So this summer, know that I'm praying for you. Please pray for me. And let's keep working out our salvation one mama moment at a time.